So Kevin J. Anderson's Darksaber. I do have to admit that this book, I've always been a fan of this book from when I first read it in the late 90s. I really, really enjoyed it. And it could be for different reasons. I personally love Kevin J. Anderson's writing and his contributions to Star Wars Legends from the novels, Jedi Academy trilogy, and so on, as well as the comics. He wrote very, very important comics in the Star Wars Legends timeline. And Darksaber is part of the Callista Trilogy, step between Children of the Jedi and Planet of Twilight. So I know a lot of people are not fans of this book, and that's all fair. I've communicated with different individuals who really, really feel this book is ridiculous or they hate it. Others are pretty indifferent about it. I have yet to talk to somebody who thinks this book is the greatest, which, hey, if you think it's the greatest book, all power to you. I don't think it's the greatest Legends book, but I do think it's a fun read, and I absolutely love this book. Like I said, I love Kevin G. Anderson's writing. I'm so glad and happy that he's going to be at Legends Con 2. Wow. He's one of my favorite writers in Star Wars Legends. But going back a little bit, and this is not going to be in-depth review or in-depth discussion about this novel. It'll just be talking about different points of why I like it. I guess that's the point of this video. Like I mentioned, it's part of the Callista Trilogy. It's book 2. And after reading Children of the Jedi, which is the book prior to this one, that book I struggled with a little bit. Well, a lot, actually. And it was a me problem, my comprehension, or I just couldn't connect with the writing style and the story overall. That's just a personal thing. And it's part of what happened in Star Wars Legends as far as Children of the Jedi and Planet of Twilight. It's just part of the Star Wars Legends family. And but after reading Children of the Jedi, this book, Darksaber, was like a breath of fresh air. And I loved it. I remember thinking, wow, this is just a fun book. I compare it to this, and this is in no way putting the book down or making it sound like a negative, but I compare this book personally to an old cheesy 80s movie, an old great 80s fun movie. And I'm all about that. And that's probably one of the reasons why I enjoyed it. Also, like I mentioned before, this book felt like a breath of fresh air. And it still does after rereading Children of the Jedi. And I've read Darksaber a few times. I like I said, I really do enjoy this book. Sincerely, I do. A couple of points I'll make about it. I do like the opening. From the first time I read it, I loved the opening. Luke goes back to Tatooine with Han, and kind of reading the first paragraphs, and then you realize, oh wow, okay, you see what's going on. They're in disguise as Tusken Raiders, and Luke is using the Force to kind of using the Force to cloak them in a way. But that was a great opening. Personally, that's the way I felt about it. And what Luke is trying to do, he is desperately, he's in love with Callista, as we know, a former Jedi, and she lost her ability to use the Force. So he's doing everything possible to just try to help her, because he sees that she's it's really affecting her inability to use the Force, and it's affecting their relationship, and she's just really discouraged, distraught about it. So he wants to help her. He's in love with her. He wants her to be his life partner. So he's trying many things. They even go to Dagobah in this book, trying to help her and see what's going on about that. But yeah, also I do, another point I really do love about this book is how we spend a lot of time with some of Luke's Jedi students at the Yavin 4. So I absolutely loved how there's like sort of graduation, you can say, from some of the students, including Kip Duran and Dorsk 81. They have this bond. So they have this ceremony where they're knighted, and they're off to do what they're supposed to do. This is what's supposed to happen at this Jedi Academy. And when Luke feels they're ready, they get knighted and they go off to be protectors and resolve issues and be detectives and so many things what Jedi do. So yeah, they take off and have an adventure, which is a great fun adventure, how they discover this menace that's part of this book and report it to the New Republic, and also report it to Dorsk 81's planet as well, which they kind of get brushed off, and they're pissed because Dorsk 81's people, the clones, they are upset of Dorsk 81 leaving and doing his thing as a Jedi, so so they really don't pay attention to what they're saying, and so I really like that, how these at this point, Luke Skywalker's, some of his students are full Jedi Knights, no longer students, and are set to go off on an adventure. That was great. Also, I loved how Admiral Dala is back, and she's a villain, as we know. And you almost feel bad for her because, as we read in Legends throughout, we feel bad. I mean, I did, because even though she's a villain, she fails. She tries. She has this sincere vision of she wants the Empire to succeed and to dominate, and she is tired of seeing all these the Imperial remnants just bicker and fight, and she wants order. She wants, okay, let's focus, continue on, and obviously a lot of them don't pay attention to that. So she ends up failing again, and she hands her power over to, or command over to, Admiral Paleon, which, as we know, super important character in Star Wars Legends. And I loved his appearance here. I loved what he did, his words. So that was great. So many different points in this book. Also, I didn't mind the super weapon, personally, Darksaber. It's part of Star Wars Legends, the timeline, what happened. And Durga the Hutt goes and he talks to Princess Leia, since she's now in charge, chief of state, and he's kind of he has his way of spying on her and the New Republic. So I'll say that. Obviously, the book gives more details, but like I said, I don't want to go too much in depth about it. So it's discovered that Durga the Hutt, as well as the Hutts, are building this super weapon called the Darksaber, and same thing to order to dominate. But do I recommend this book? I don't get the hate, to be honest with you, but if you read it and you don't like it, hey, that's fair. I understand the criticisms of it, but and some people I've heard have said that's ridiculous, and yeah, at times it is, but it's a fun read. I really liked it. I didn't understand Callista's much of her in Children of the Jedi. This, I understood what's going on, and I didn't mind the adventure that Luke had with Callista and him. He's in love, so he's trying to help her in this book and regain her Force abilities. But trying to remember other things. It's just like I said. I recommend it personally. Just this is a perfect example of how the Bantam, not all of them, but some Bantam era novels are extremely different from Del Rey. I remember that shift. Reading the Bantam era as they were coming out after 97, and then once Del Rey came aboard with the Vector Prime, the shift was just the tone was just different. So this is a perfect example of the two extremes, the Bantam era and also the Del Rey, but they all fuse together. They're on the same timeline, but it's just fun books, and I enjoyed it. I'm a fan of this book.